We need to get law and order and policing back on track.
His name is practically synonymous with his ruby red beret.
If you show one iota of fear, your enemy will persevere.
And now this outspoken, cat-loving native New Yorker has turned his sights on Gracie Mansion again.
I'm not dropping out. I'm fighting to the end.
After losing to Mayor Eric Adams in 2021, Curtis Sliwa is back.
It's clear they don't know anything about the streets of the city of New York, all 5 boroughs, 350 neighborhoods, 472 subway platforms where the working class people, the poor and the indigent are.
Despite calls from President Trump and a host of fellow Republicans to drop out, Sliwa is holding firm.
He's not going to win. I don't know. If he dropped out, maybe Cuomo would have a little bit of a chance, but not much.
It's a race that's captured the attention of the nation. And some speculate that Sliwa refusing to bow out could prove decisive in this contentious race.
Don't throw your vote away. It's between me and Mamdani. A vote for Curtis is a vote for Mamdani.
I think on the stage you can see 2 people appealing for the Republican Party's votes.
Late to bed, early to rise. That's been the story of my campaign. I'm out with the people of New York City. And boy, it's the best focus group of all.
Hi, Mr. Sliwa. Linsey Davis, how are you, sir? Hey,
pleasure.
Very nice to meet you. So this is your home away from home, right? You pretty much take the subway every day?
Subways, I love it. It's the veins and arteries of the city. Unfortunately, it's like having clogged arteries. There's so many problems.
Yeah.
And none of my opponents really want to address it. They're almost never in the subways. And this is where millions of people travel each and every day, whether they're my friends, my foes. But it's like a focus group. They pay for their focus group. All you got to do is pay $3. And you get a focus group every time the doors close and you're stuck in a car because you're not going nowhere until you answer their questions. They are the toughest inquisitors of all.
And so what kinds of questions do they ask you?
Well, they say, what are you going to do about the homeless people who live here? What are you doing about the emotionally disturbed? Look at the garbage. Look at the decay, the smell. Your senses get attacked every day.
While we're talking, we're seeing the business cards.
Yeah,
so these are the cards you give out to, you say, you estimate 100,000 New York residents.
Easily, because I'm here half the time in the subways. So it relates to the subway users. I'm like you, I ride the subway.
Yeah. All right, so tell us about Halloween. Tell us about the signs here.
Well, this is the destination for what is no doubt the greatest Halloween parade in the world, and I'm here every year. This neighborhood went for Zohran Mamdani overwhelmingly against Andrew Cuomo. That's why I spent a lot of time here, because there are a lot of millennials and Gen Zers who could conceivably vote for you if you actually go in, shake their hands, and talk with them.
All right, let's head down. Do you have a particularly favorite subway stop or a line?
Yeah, where I started, Coney Island, Stillwell Avenue, all the trains, the D, the F, the N, and the Q, stop there and you see the Ferris wheel in the back, you see the roller coaster, you see Coney Island. Even when it's not in the season, it goes from Memorial Day to Labor Day, but it's magnificent.
What do you love about New York?
Is that New Yorkers have strong opinions. They don't hold back. So they give, they take. They like having somebody that they've known for 46 years that they can kibitz with. And that's what I love. They're talkers. They're very expressive. And you really get a feel for what's going on. So remember, there's a generational divide now. I'm the oldest candidate. I'm 71. I'm the baby boomer.
Sliwa was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. At 24 years old, he founded the Guardian Angels, a nonprofit crime prevention organization formed to patrol the crime-ridden streets of the Bronx in the 70s. The group quickly expanded to all 5 boroughs and eventually went global.
We're calling upon all those citizens who are in support of the effort and have asked what it is that they can do to help bring justice to the situation.
So decades ago, of course, you founded the Guardian Angels to help patrol the subways overnight. What was the impetus?
Gangs, back in 1979. If people want to know, because there's a whole generational change, Just look at the classic cult movie, The Warriors, cult movie classic, and you'll know exactly what we were dealing with. There were no cops, there were fiscal cutbacks. New York City was on the brink of going Chapter 11. I was a night manager of McDonald's in the Bronx, which was burning down, which had more gangs sometimes than cops, gang members. And so that's why I was motivated to start the Guardian Angels.
How do you think that the city has changed since then?
Oh, the city has changed enormously. It's been the greatest migration of people from other areas, fly over America, who come to New York City because there was tremendous flight in the 70s. 1 million people left. And then the millennials and Gen Zers, many of them have only been here like 10 years or less. They've filled in the gap for the good of New York City. Their politics, though, is very, very left.
What are you going to do to try to, because you talked about the millennials, and obviously you know how Mamdani has really captured the imagination of New York City's youngest residents. So how do you persuade them that you have bright ideas for the future?
Well, because the one thing the millennials and Gen Zers like is that I keep it real. I talk in a language of the streets. And more importantly, I have a track record. With Zoran Mandami, you can fit his entire resume on a cocktail napkin. He really doesn't have the background. And he's relating to people who have done well in school. They went to 4 years of school. They got their graduate degree, and they're rightfully angry. I represent blue-collar working class people who said, hey, we're in solidarity. Blue-collar workers are being wiped out by all the developments in technology. And you, my friend, artificial intelligence is going to take your jobs as financial analysts, CPAs, lawyers like my wife. You can't trust the billionaires. Unfortunately for Zoran, he attacks the billionaires, but he also has billionaires bankrolling him. Andrew Cuomo has 60. You know how many billionaires I have? Zero.
Zero. And you're
I'm the
proud of that,
people's
of
mayor.
course.
Well, right away, first and foremost, I would have transit police, of which we didn't see one, while we were down in a very crowded station. Not one. They're not enough. They have to begin patrolling in twos like these gentlemen are here. On
You want to see them down.
But no, on the moving trains. Because that's where the problems are.
You've been shot multiple times here in New York City. You've been beaten by baseball bats. Why not leave? What's kept you here?
Oh, I was born here. As you said, they tried to kill me here. I'll die here. I'll be buried here. I'm a son of the soil. I'm the only real New Yorker running in this race. The others, they've had a cup of coffee here. And then they've gone to other places, which is fine. But Curtis Sliwa, if you even ask my adversaries, they'll say he's the real New Yorker.
And we talked about safety on the subway. How about safety on the streets?
Yeah, well, this is interesting. We're walking in an area. It's called South of 14th Street, Lower Manhattan, where in 1 month last year, there were 50 attacks of women. They now have a new category. They call them random attacks. Wait a second. 50 women, including 2 female reporters, one for the Post, one for WINS, the all-new station. What are you talking random attacks? These men, some of them emotionally disturbed, some of them who obviously have issues, came up to women, and you see it on the video. Unbeknownst to the women, and bam, knocked them down or stomped them and kicked them, traumatized them for life. And guess what? Many of them, because of Andrew Cuomo's no cash bail, arraigned, released, given a court date. And now these women have to see these same men roaming around. That has to change. And I'm the one to change it.
Do you see one of your opponents in particular as more problematic for New York City?
No, both my opponents are all part of the same system that has brought us to this crisis. I'm the law and order candidate. I call it a crime crisis. We live in a city where we lock up toothpaste. We don't lock up criminals. I mean, it's embarrassing when people come and visit us and they say, Curtis, I try to get a tube of toothpaste. I got to wait 20 minutes. Everything's locked up. You don't seem to lock up your criminals.
So what would you do?
Excuse me?
What would you do to change that?
Immediately start pressuring the authorities because you have the bully pulpit. So when a DA or a judge releases somebody who should have been remanded to jail, no bail, you put the spotlight on him. You name them and shame them.
We head to our studio to continue the conversation.
All right, well, we are here now.
Coming up, we ask the question many are asking Curtis Sliwa.
Some members of your own party have said they're not going to vote for you. They've urged you to get out of the race. You've said that there have been people who've offered you as much as $10 million to drop out. What's kept you in it? And such a pleasure to have Curtis Sliwa join us tonight. Thank you so much for the time, sir.
My pleasure. Out of the subways and into the suites.
Into the studios, yes. So this isn't your first time running for mayor of New York City. Why do you want this job?
Well, in 2021, I ran against Eric Adams. He was a Democrat. I was a Republican. I warned the voters that he would be corrupt and there would be chaos. Unfortunately, I was correct. And then I saw the same storm clouds gathering with the reemergence of the political zombie, Andrew Cuomo, who was responsible, really, for the crime crisis in New York State. And it seemed like he wanted to come back and put the final nail in the coffin of New York City. I said, I'm the only person who stands in between. Little did I realize that he would run no campaign in the primary, expecting a coronation. And a guy that a year ago, his neighbors didn't know him, Zoran Mandami, was 1% in the polls and beat Andrew Cuomo by 13%. And that's when I realized I'm the only guy who could take him on, because I'm the only other candidate that's in the streets and obviously the only candidate in the subways where most of the people are.
You ran 4 years ago. At that time, Donald Trump, who was running for president, got 500,000 more votes in New York City. How do you think you're going to win? What will be the strategy? How will it have a different outcome?
Well, remember, there's always greater turnout in presidential elections. That's been the history, unfortunately, throughout the country. This time, though, I saw what Donald Trump was able to acquire. I saw what Lee Zeldin was able to acquire in the gubernatorial race the year before. So we micro-targeted those voters. You have to do that in advance. That should get out the vote months and months in advance. So it's not about advertising on TV, because most of the people who see the advertisements are in the suburbs. Hey, great ad, but they can't vote. You have to go door to door. You have to send your texts, your emails, your snail mail. You got to follow up with the phone calls. And then you got to get those people to vote. Luckily, we have early voting, 10 days. There's been a tremendous rush of voters. I'm happy to see this, even if they're not voting for me, because this is democracy in action. One person, one vote. The billionaires, the influencers, and the insiders are not going to pick the next mayor. That's obvious. It's going to be the people, and I trust the people. I don't trust the billionaires.
Some members of your own party have said they're not going to vote for you. They've urged you to get out of the race. You've said that there have been people who've offered you as much as $10 million to drop out. What's kept you in it?
Well, I got to tell you, I told everybody who offered me money, this is like unethical. It's bribery. It could be criminal. And if you continue to try to bribe me, I'll be wired up like a Christmas tree, and you'll be talking to investigators of a prosecutor's office. Boy, that stopped that. But because they stirred up people's passions, you had men and women out there threatening me and my wife, Nancy. Now, I've been threatened before. I've been shot by the Gaudis and Gambinos. Luckily, I'm alive. But I had to go out and get, for the first time in my life, private security, retired NYPD armed officers to protect my wife, Nancy, who protects the animals, and to protect myself, so that we could actually let the people make the determination of who the next mayor should be. Look, there have been threats on Zoran Mandami, serious threats on me. The rhetoric is too high, and we just got to lower it. Let the people debate the merits of all the candidates. They'll make their decision. I'll live with it. But I tell you this, if Zoran should win, I'm not fleeing like Andrew Cuomo said to his billionaire friends in the Hamptons. I'll join you in Florida. I stay. I fight for what I know is right. I improve. I don't move. I will be the loyal opposition here. And every time that a Zoran Mandami or supporter steps out of line, I'll be there to counter-check them by organizing in the community.
Was it ever tempting, ever a shot that you said, maybe I should drop out?
No, because whenever that pressure would rise up to the points where they're threatening my wife, I'd look to my wife. I'd say, can you deal with this? Because I've dealt with it my whole life. She said, no, we're in it together. I have nobody in the world better to thank for that than my wife, Nancy, who's never been through this before. She didn't grow up the way I did. And she said, no, we got to save the city. We got to save the people. We got to save the animals. And I have everything in the world to thank her for that, for being in solidarity with me every step of the way. Someone else might have decided it was too risky, too much pressure, but she stood resolute with me.
As you know, President Trump really tried to clear the way for Andrew Cuomo. He urged Eric Adams to drop out. He did. He urged you to drop out. You've stayed. So how do you respond to those who may say, if Mamdani wins, hey, it's because Curtis Sliwa didn't drop out, he split the vote?
How ridiculous. I'm the major party candidate. If you didn't want me as the Republican, you could have primaried me. And they were flirting with that idea of having Eric Adams primary. They did an initial poll. They said, oh, he'll get crushed by Curtis. Because I'm the people's mayor. I'm there for the people, even when I'm not running for office. So a major party candidate never drops out. When in the history of electoral politics does the major party candidate, the only Republican, the law and order candidate, drop out for somebody who got clobbered in the Democratic primary? He couldn't even win his own primary, Andrew Cuomo. And now, if you try to find him on an independent line, good luck. You got to get through a maze. That ain't happening. We're just a few days away. I trust people. I don't trust party leaders. I don't trust billionaires, influencers, insiders. They are not going to pick the mayor. The people. Isn't this a novel idea? One person, one vote. Wow. And yet all these people want to basically interfere with this election cycle instead of letting the people determine who the next mayor is.
President Trump has said that you're not ready for prime time. You're not a viable candidate. So if you do win, how would you work together?
Oh, the one thing I said in both debates is I'm not foolish enough to bump chess with the most powerful guy in the world, Donald Trump. He holds all the cards. But if you notice, Zoran and Andrew Cuomo, they're fighting each other. I'm tougher than you. I'll take on Trump. First off, you can see how Trump operates. You have to show him respect. It's the art of the deal. You have to say, Donald, I realize that the federal government is withholding money, Medicaid, SNAP card, food stamps. They want to cut back on public housing. What can we do? How can I lessen the pain for the poor and the indigent that I'm responsible for? See, because the fallback position that Zoran Mamdani would have as mayor and Andrew Cuomo is, I fought against Trump. He won. He's the reason that our city is dissolving. Well, when people lose their apartments in public housing and they don't have their food stamps and they can't get Medicaid, you're going to blame Trump? How about the fact that maybe you didn't sit down and try to negotiate with him and understand if you pay respect, you'll get respect. Look, I've had a love-hate relationship with Donald Trump that goes back 40 years. And by the way, his vice president, J.D. Vance, in 2016 called him Hitler. He's now vice president. Need I say more?
Donald Trump has refused to endorse you. You are the Republican candidate. Why do you think that is?
Because I am a populist, blue-collar, working-class candidate. I'm not the candidate of the billionaires. And obviously in New York City, the billionaires, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, think that they can control the destiny of this city. They are so distant from the streets. It's a generational change. I don't often agree with AOC, but she said this is a generational change. I'm the product of that in the 60s. Remember, don't trust anybody over 30. Counterculture. Don't grow your hair long. Don't go to concerts. Don't join the anti-war rallies. Vote for Nixon, not for McGovern. I did all of the counterculture things. This is the 1960s all over again. The children and grandchildren are rebelling against their parents and grandparents. We've seen this before. We will survive this. What you do is you go out and argue on the merits of your policies, and then you let the people decide. It goes back to the old Lincoln-Douglas debates. They had 7 debates. Guess what? Lincoln lost the election, but he went on to save the nation as president. If
Donald Trump does, as he has threatened, withhold federal money from New York City next year at the tune of potentially $7 billion, and you're mayor, how do you respond? Well, really, that was directed at Zoran Mamdani because the fantasy, the reality will hit very quick that he doesn't have access to money for all of his programs, free bus fare, obviously freeze the rent, and the main thing, universal child care. Child care is desperately needed, but it's not going to be universal child care. And the president is holding Zoran by the short hairs, saying, you elect Zoran, I withhold $7 billion. I get elected. I sit down, whoever Donald Trump assigns, and I said,
Let's negotiate. He loves that.
Okay, same question with regard to the National Guard. He's threatened that he would bring in the National Guard potentially to New York City if you're mayor. How would you respond to that?
Well, he was right. In Washington, D.C., I have guardian angels in Southeast Anacostia. He was right. And it's improved the public safety. But here, our governor last year brought in 1,000 National Guardsmen into the subways during the subway crisis. You may have remembered that horrid scene. A woman that they don't even mention anymore, Debrina Kawam, homeless woman, on an F train in Coney Island in the morning, set afire by a migrant. It was the worst crime that's ever happened in the city of New York. Horrible. And Governor Hochul flooded the subway system with 1,000 National Guards people. The governor here, I disagree with her on many levels. She did the right thing. I have guardian angels in so many cities where you might want to contemplate having the National Guard. New York City does not need the National Guard, not at this point.
What would you say is the biggest misconception about Curtis Sliwa?
That he cannot be mayoral, that he has not mastered the issues that a mayor is responsible to deal with. First of all, I always say, could it get any worse? We've had 3 Democrats. We've had Bill de Blasio, Andrew Cuomo as governor, who fled impeachment, and Eric Adams, the most corrupt mayor in the city of New York's history, and that's saying a lot. And then on the debate stage, everybody said, wow, Curtis Sliwa really knows this city. He's got answers. In fact, he's got his finger on the pulse because they are so disconnected to the reality of what working class people go through that I actually developed a lot of admirers who hopefully they'll vote for me. Maybe they won't. But I just want everybody to get out and vote because men died in battle for right of free speech and the right to vote. And in New York City, at mayoral elections, precipitously less and less people have been voting. This year, it's a comeback year. We're seeing a lot of people come to the polls, and that's great for our democracy.
What do you think is the fairest criticism of you?
The fairest criticism of me, I'd say, well, he's an entertainer. 35 years in talk radio. I've earned all kinds of awards. Talk radio, you're entertaining sometimes. Look, the man who starred in The Apprentice went on to become the president of the United States. He was an entertainer, too. There's nothing wrong with entertaining people. You don't have to be so serious all the time that it seems like you're giving a tutorial about the issues of the day. You can do both. But you have to speak the language of the common woman, the common man. You can't talk over them. You have to talk to them, and that's what I do.
Andrew Cuomo has said you simply do not have the experience to run New York City. What do you think qualifies you?
Thank God I'm not a politician, because look at him. He had to flee Albany because he feared impeachment. He was a disgraced governor. So he has so much experience. He has so many negative things attributed to him that we would have to fill up a New York City public library with all of his failures. I'm glad I'm not a professional politician, but I would get the brightest and best. They would work for the city. Many of them retirees who were born and raised here who don't like the direction that the city went into. And guess what? I'm not all-knowing. I'm not omnipotent. I delegate. The mayors we've had of late, Bill de Blasio, Eric Adams, a disaster. The governor we had, Cuomo, a disaster. How could I do any worse? I mean, seriously, how could I do any worse? They have paved the way for Zoran Mandami, who a year ago, not even his neighbors knew who he was.
Curtis Sliwa, thank you so much. Really appreciate the time. This has been All Access with Linsey Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us.